A while ago, we started a series looking at the lives of the heroes of the Bible, heroes of faith. And then a few weeks ago, we tweaked it a little bit, and we're going to talk about the unsung heroes of faith. And today, I'd like to invite you to open your Bibles to 1 Samuel chapter 25. We're going to do some reading together, and that's going to be from 1 Samuel chapter 25. If you're there, say amen. If you're getting there, say, wait a minute. All right. If you said, wait a minute, I'm going to wait for your amen when you get there, okay? 1 Samuel chapter 25 in the Old Testament, the book of 1 Samuel 25. And we're going to pick it up in verse 1. Are we there yet? All right. Now Samuel died, and all Israel assembled and mourned for him. And they buried him at his home in Ramah. Then David moved down into the desert of Paran. Now let's stop there for a second. Let's see how the stage is set here. So at this juncture in his life, David is the anointed new king of Israel, except there was a problem. Israel already had a king on the throne, King Saul. When King Saul heard that the prophet went ahead and anointed the next king, he got really upset, really mad, and for a few years sent out his spies and his armies to find David, arrest him, and do whatever he wanted with him, right? So David's life is in danger, and at this juncture in his journey, David is on the run. Now, he had a bunch of people that believed in him, and these men, these people, move with him, and they're on the run together. And they don't sleep 2 nights in the same spot because Saul sent his soldiers and his spies to find them. Now, in the previous chapter, there is a very interesting encounter. When you go home today, please read chapter 24, when David actually had an opportunity to take the life of the king. And David, because he had respect for the king and for the office of the king that was anointed by God, he chose not to take the king's life. And right here in chapter 25, we're told that he was on the move. He kept moving, and he moved down into the desert of Paran at this time. So David is on the run from Saul, and at this juncture in Israel's history, the prophet had died. Samuel was the prophet in Israel for a long time. Everybody respected him. He had a certain job to fulfill in Israel, basically to tell the people whatever God wanted for them to do or to know. And as any prophet, there are times when people may like and appreciate you, but there's going to be a lot of times when people will have a problem with you because they disagree with your message. But Samuel did his job professionally, and everybody mourned Samuel when Samuel died. He was of a great caliber among the prophets that Israel have had. So this is a time of crisis. This is a time of transition. Whenever a significant leader dies, there is a time when things need to be worked out. And until another one kind of raises to the importance of the previous one, there's a time of uneasiness. There's a time of chaos. There's a time when anything can happen. And it's within this context that 1 Samuel 25 starts. The prophet is dead. David is on the run. He moves to the desert, which was a fitting place for what was going on emotionally for the future king. Put yourself in David's shoes. You are anointed to be the next king, and you have to run. You have to hide. You have to be in such a situation where you don't know where your next meal is going to come from. You don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. You have to be on alert at all times. You cannot sleep well. You cannot rest well. It's a trying time, and it takes its toll on David. So moving to the desert becomes a picture of kind of where David was emotionally at this time. Verse 2, a certain man in Maon who had property there at Carmel, was very wealthy. He had 1,000 goats and 3,000 sheep, which he was shearing in Carmel. His name was Nabal, and his wife's name was Abigail. She was an intelligent and beautiful woman, but her husband was surly and mean in his dealings. He was a Calebite. Let's stop there for a little bit. Are you sensing some tension building up here? Rich man, right? He has thousands of goats and sheep, and to have one meant that you would ensure the survival of your family if you had a goat or a sheep, right? But this guy had 1,000 goats and 3,000 sheep. I'm glad he did not have 3,000 goats, because 1,000 is a lot. Have you seen those goats in action? They use them to clear land. That's what a goat does. You leave a goat in a new patch of brambles and bushes and whatever, give it enough time, those will disappear. The land would be clear. But 1,000 goats in one place, those require a lot of food and a lot of attention, because goats, they just go all over the place. Sheep do too, right? So this guy, he had 1,000 goats, 3,000 sheep, but he had to have a lot of people tending those flocks, right? It takes a lot of people, and at least in my country of origin, some very, very capable dogs to actually keep a flock of this size in place. So this is a rich man. He has business interests all over. He has property all over. He has a house in the town of Maon, but he also has property in Carmel. And together with this, in this family, we have the wife. Her name is Abigail, and by the way, that's the word of the day for those kids who keep count. And we're told about Abigail that she is beautiful and that she is intelligent. All right? But notice the but in verse 3. It says, but her husband was surly and mean in his dealings. What does surly mean? Help me. Grouchy? Unkind? Honorary? Unfriendly? Yeah? A surly man. Have you seen some of these people? Have you met a surly man? Do you want to get close, or do you want to keep your distance? Yeah. So the beauty and the intelligence of the wife is contrasted by the surliness and the meanness in his dealings of this Calebite. Now, a Calebite in the Bible, this is actually the only place where this word is used. This is a descendant of Caleb. Remember Caleb? What do we know about Caleb in the Bible? He was one of the 12 spies that were sent ahead. Go spy the land. Tell us if that land is good for us or not, right? Caleb came back, Caleb and Joshua, and they were the only two of the 12 to actually give a truthful report of their findings. Yes, here's the good parts of the land, and here's the challenges of the land, right? Everybody else was trying to come up with all sorts of other alternative facts, but he was faithful. And God honored him, and he got to live a very long and good life for him and for his family and for his tribe. So this man, Nabal, is a Calebite, which means is from the descendants, is one of the descendants of Caleb. And very interestingly enough, Caleb was of the tribe of Judah. Keep that in mind. Caleb was a brave and godly man whose great faith in God caused him, along with Joshua, to encourage the faint-hearted Israelites to take possession of the land of Canaan. So Caleb and Joshua, they stood alone at one point against a multitude of opposing voices to claim what God had promised them all, that God will indeed give them the land in spite of the difficulties, in spite of the giants that were living in the land, in spite of the challenges. Despite the great legacy that Caleb left his descendants, the term Calebite is used only once in the Bible, and it applies to a person of less than savory character. Nabal was the husband of Abigail. His name, by the way, means fool. The name Nabal means fool. That's the translation. Think about this. You do business with the fool, right? But he was mean in his dealings, which means he had street smarts. He knew how to get to wherever he wanted to go. He was a Calebite, that is, Nabal was of the house and lineage of Caleb. Because the Hebrew word translated Caleb also means dog, the Septuagint translated Nabal's description as he was a doggish man. Surly, meaning his dealings, a doggish man. Which, in the Middle East, the dogs have a very bad reputation. It's a great insult to call somebody a dog. Remember a few years back when that reporter threw his shoe at the President of the United States, right? That was the greatest insult that man can throw in the face of a president. It was not about the object, it was the insult behind the object, and he called him a dog, right? So these are the characters here. That particular portrayal would agree with the rest of verse 3, which says that Nabal was a surly and mean man. Nabal acted much like a bad-tempered dog. His selfish words prove the point. There's other places that we're going to read about them a little later about this. But one of Nabal's servants in verse 17 gives this testimony of him. He is such a wicked man that no one can speak to him. Have you ever tried to have a conversation with somebody and you just found no way in? You just found nothing to talk to that person about because they were so full of themselves and they would not leave any room for you to express ideas or concerns. This is the kind of person that we're dealing with here. So that's Nabal. And to contrast that, we have Abigail. Abigail is beautiful. She is intelligent. Do you think they had any problems in this marriage? We can assume so. Verse 4, while David was in the wilderness, he heard that Nabal was shearing sheep. This is, it happens once a year, right? When the sheep need to be dispossessed of the woolly coats, right? And the shearing time is also time to actually count how many you have and kind of make plans for next year. And this is an exciting time for the owner. So he sent 10 young men. So while David was in the wilderness, Nabal is busy shearing sheep. Verse 5, he sent 10 young men and said to them, go up to Nabal at Carmel, greet him in my name. Say to him, long life to you, good health to you and your household, and good health to all that is yours. Verse 7, now I hear that it is sheep shearing time. When your shepherds were with us, we did not mistreat them, and the whole time they were at Carmel, nothing of theirs was missing. Ask your own servants, and they will tell you. Therefore, be favorable towards my men, since we come at a festive time. Please give your servants and your son David whatever you can find for them. It's very common in the Middle East for an older person to address a younger person with the term son. Even though they're not related by blood, it is a manner of speaking that emphasizes the fact that everybody is connected, that we're all part of the same family. Even though we're not blood related, I am willing to be generous and welcoming towards you, and I expect the same in return. This has to do with Middle Eastern hospitality, right? A high value that all of these characters in the Bible actually displayed at one point or another in their history. So please be favorable to me. Whatever you have, any scraps you have, right? Because this is what time when they would get the wool, keep for themselves whatever they needed, and then they would sell whatever they wanted to sell. They would manage the flocks and sell the meat of those animals that they didn't need anymore, that they needed to sell to raise funds, and so on and so forth. So this is a good time for the owner when the owner feels, man, my work has paid off. I'm in the right business. This is good. And usually at a festive time like this, generosity was was kind of implied. If I have a lot, it's easy for me to share with those that don't have, right? This is the Middle East. People are generous. People are nice to each other. So David is asking for whatever you can spare. Basically, whatever you don't want, we're hungry. We're happy with whatever scraps you have, right? Verse 9, when David's men arrived, they gave Nabal this message in David's name. Then they waited. What's going on here? What's Nabal doing? He was mean in all of his dealings, right? He had street smarts. He's weighing his options, right? Yes, David has several hundred men. They're good soldiers. They've proven themselves. And he knew that David and his men took care of his shepherds and his flocks out there in the wilderness, right? They provided protection from animals, from thieves, from bandits. So David already provided a free service to Nabal. He was aware of this, but he doesn't want to give anything to these guys. Because it would mean losing something, right? This is a festive time for him. It's a time to count his money. It's not a time to give money away. Whatever was going on in his heart, he made them wait. How many of you like waiting? Because I don't. It's hard for me to wait. I want what I want, and I want it now, right? That's how we operate in most circumstances, right? Nabal made them wait. Now, the waiting for the person who waits makes you start to feel, when is he going to make up his mind? My time is as important as his. Why is he making me wait? It takes you places emotionally, and soon enough, if the issue is serious, there's going to be anger building up. There's going to be frustration building up. There's going to be, a lot of things on the inside that is going to show on the outside, right? He makes them wait. On a side note here, we are Seventh-day Adventists, which means that we are waiting for Jesus to come. And we've been waiting for Jesus to come ever since this movement was started in the 1840s. What's that, 160 years, 170 years? We've been waiting for Jesus to come. Have you ever asked the question, why is he taking so long? How long do we have to wait? When is Jesus going to make through on his promises? I mean, we look around us and there's a lot going on in this world, a lot of tension, a lot of violence, a lot of bad situations. When are these going to stop? I mean, these are legitimate questions that as Christians, as Seventh-day Adventist Christians, it's all right to ask within the context of our relationship with God. God doesn't mind our questions. The fact that he doesn't give us the answer that we want doesn't mean that he's not working on our behalf. Doesn't mean that he's not loving us. Doesn't mean that he doesn't have our well-being at heart. But the waiting is hard. It's challenging. I'm sure these guys didn't like to wait, but they had no choice. Verse 10, after a while, Nabal answered David's servants, "Who is this David? Who is this son of Jesse? Many servants are breaking away from their masters these days." What is he doing? What is Nabal doing here? Yeah. I'd like to suggest to you that Nabal is hiding behind the politics of the day. He takes the side of King Saul. He's trying to use the politics of the day to his advantage. Remember, David is on the run. Saul is searching for him all over the country, right? Many servants are breaking away from their masters these days, right? It's a direct reference to where David was in his journey, right? And what was going on, what David was all about at this point, right? He's a servant on the run from his master, basically, in Nabal's view. The politics of the day were, the king was furious with David, and he was searching for him. He's not a true believer in these politics. He just senses an opportunity to take advantage of the existing inner division in Israel to accomplish his purposes, namely, to avoid having to give scraps to the hungry on the run. Have we ever used excuses that had nothing to do with the need of the person in front of us to just escape the responsibility of caring for somebody in need? We do that sometimes. It's human to do it. But we need to develop that awareness that says, yeah, I don't think this is good. Let me look at it a little differently. Nabal senses the opportunity. He wants to escape responsibility to the ones at the margin by making use of the current politics in his land. He was indeed mean in his dealings, not only his business dealings, but in all of his dealings. He had street smarts. He knew how to use the circumstances to his advantage. Why should I take my bread and water and the meat I have slaughtered for my shearers and give it to men coming from who knows where? David was family. He was from the tribe of Judah, the lion from the tribe of Judah, right? They were from the same tribe. It's not like he didn't know who David was. He knew him, he knew his family. David is asking his servants to go and greet him in my name. Why? Because Nabal knew David. He knew his father. David's men turned around and went back. When they arrived, they reported every word. David said to his men, each of you strap on your sword. So they did, and David strapped his on as well. About 400 men went up with David, while 200 stayed with the supplies. One of the servants told Abigail, this is where she enters into this picture, Nabal's wife, David sent messengers from the wilderness to give our master his greetings, but he hurled insults at them. Yet these men were very good to us. They did not mistreat us. And the whole time we were out in the fields near them, nothing was missing. Night and day, they were a wall around us. The whole time we were herding our sheep near them. Verse 17. Now think it over and see what you can do, because disaster is hanging over our master and his whole household. He is such a wicked man that no one can talk to him. They didn't dare go and talk to their own master. Verse 18 sums up what Abigail was all about. She was not only beautiful and intelligent, but she knew how to act. Verse 18, Abigail acted quickly. The reality, the emergency aspect of the situation kicked in, and she asserted, she looked at it very quickly, knew what was going on, and she sprang into action right away. She took 200 loaves of bread. How many men were coming? 400 plus 600 watching the other provisions. So she took 200 loaves of bread, 2 skins of wine, 5 dressed sheep, 5 seahs of roasted grain, which is about 60 pounds of grain, right, that you can make flour of and then make bread out of, and 100 cakes already made of raisins, and 200 cakes of pressed figs. This is dessert, right? So she thinks about everything. First course, second course, drinks, and dessert. Are you with me? Very capable, intelligent human being here. Loaded them on donkeys. Then she told her servants, go on ahead, and I will follow you. But she did not tell her husband, Nabal. What do you make of that? She was very wise. There are times when women do things and we don't need to know. We need to trust them that whatever they're doing is right and it's good for us, right? Very, very wise person. As she came behind them, riding her donkey into a mountain ravine trap, Militarily speaking, the ravine is a trap, right? David and his men were positioned exactly where they wanted. There was David and his men descending toward her, and she met them. One woman against 400 warriors. David had just said, "It's been useless, all my watching over this fellow's property in the wilderness so that nothing of his was missing. He has paid me back evil for good. May God deal with David," meaning him, "be it ever so severely, if by morning I leave alive one male of all who belong to him." So David is swearing revenge against Nabal and all of his family. When Abigail saw David, she quickly got off her donkey, bowed down before David with her face to the ground. This may be a Middle Eastern custom, but I think there's more to this than just a way of greeting somebody else, somebody superior. She knew that David is going to be the next king, right? She fell at his feet and said, "Pardon your servant, my lord. Let me speak to you. Hear what your servant has to say. Please, pay no attention, my lord, to that wicked man Nabal. He is just like his name. His name means fool, and folly goes with him. And as for me, your servant, I did not see the man my lord sent." So she's trying to apologize. "And now, my lord, as surely as the Lord your God lives, and as you live, since the Lord has kept you from bloodshed, and from avenging yourself with your own hands, may your enemies and all who are intent on harming my lord be like Nabal, and let this gift which your servant has brought to my lord be given to the men who follow you." Very interesting. This is where wisdom comes in, because she is painting a picture for David, a picture that actually tells David what to do, tells David what to do next, right? It's not David who comes up with the idea, "Oh, I'm going to spare them because, this is good enough." It's Abigail who paints this picture of an ideal future for her and for her family to save their lives. She knew what buttons to push. She knew what kind of a differential attitude to have against this guy that was coming to wipe them off the face of the earth. She knew the words to say. She knew, what to bring with her. This is all God-given wisdom. And God is willing to give that wisdom to anybody that wants to do good in this world, that is serious about protecting life. Amazing, amazing hero for me, Abigail, in this picture. Conclusion, David said to Abigail, "Praise be to the Lord," verse 32. "The God of Israel who has sent you today to meet me, may you be blessed for your good judgment and for keeping me from bloodshed this day and from avenging myself with my own hands. Otherwise, as surely as the Lord, the God of Israel lives, who has kept me from harming you, if you had not come quickly to meet me, not one male belonging to Nabal would have been left alive by daybreak." Why the male? That was a way to wipe off the entire family and ensure that there's not going to be any descendants, right? David is that serious in his dealings. Then David accepted from her hand what she had brought him and said, "Go home in peace. I have heard your words and granted your request." A few quick conclusions here, things we can learn from this story. Nabal was a Calebite. Godly parents or godly ancestors are no guarantee of godly offspring. This is clear in this story, and I'm sure we can identify things and people and situations where we can see that this is true as well. As parents, we do our best to raise our children, and if they grow up to be the people that we want for them to be, it's the grace of God who makes it happen, and it's the efforts of every parent that produce such great results. But there are many situations when the parents do an excellent job and where children don't end up where they should be, and That's because of the reality of sin in this world and Satan being active to just destroy people. However, the prayers, the efforts, the love of a devoted parent will go a long ways in influencing the heart of the children for Jesus and for eternity. Another lesson that we can learn from this story, the wickedness of one person can bring disaster to those around him. Abigail quickly identified that this is the situation, and that's why she acted so quickly. Because she didn't only love her husband, but she loved her family, everybody that worked for them, everybody that worked with them, the whole village. She took responsibility for all of them to save their lives. Finally, it is for God to deal with the wicked. It's not for us to exact punishment, to bring justice, to just do that kind of work. It's for God. The Bible says, the Lord says, vengeance is only mine. Stay away from vengeance. Nurture different kinds of emotions. It's not good for you to feel vengeance in your heart. Fill your heart with positive feelings, with love, with compassion. And God will take care of his enemies. It's not our job to take on God's enemies. He is perfectly capable of doing that himself. Our job is to love people, to support people, to save people whenever we can. Finally, Abigail puts herself in between to prevent death for her family. And in doing so, she becomes a picture of Jesus. Because that's exactly what Jesus did. Jesus put himself between us and death and satisfied all the requirements that were asked to be satisfied because of what sin did. And he turned around and gave us the life that we did not deserve, a life that we can enjoy even today. Jesus, as our Redeemer, put himself in between to protect us from death and to give us another opportunity